Let's start with a question that sounds like it's from science fiction. Can you have a memory without a brain? It's a real biological puzzle. And today, we're diving deep into an organism that remembers, learns, and makes decisions, all without a single neuron to its name. So, meet the star of our show, Physarum polycephalum. Yeah, it kind of looks like a bright yellow paint spell. And in a way it is. It's not a fungus, not a plant. It's one single giant megacell that can spread out and explore its world. But here's the absolute kicker. It has no brain, and yet it does things that are shockingly intelligent. And this, right here, is the central mystery we're unpacking. We usually think memory lives in the connections between neurons in a brain. So how on earth can this brainless blob remember anything at all? To even start to wrap our heads around that, we've got to see what this thing can actually do. And trust me, its abilities are pretty remarkable. Okay, so here's the quick rundown. We're talking about one single cell that can grow to the size of a doormat. It's in the same family as amoebas, and it's surprisingly on the move, cruising along at up to 5 centimeters an hour while it looks for food on forest floors. It's a real forager, just in its own slow, gooey way. The science world really sat up and took notice back in 2000. A researcher named Toshiyuki Nakagaki put a slime mold in a maze with food at the start and the end. At first, it just spread out everywhere, exploring every single dead end and pathway. But then, it did something amazing. It pulled back from all the useless routes, leaving behind only the single most efficient path between the two food sources. Okay, so if it can solve a maze, that means it has to have a memory, right? It needs to know where it's already been. And the first clue to how it pulls this off is fascinating, because the memory isn't even inside the slime mold. This was the exact puzzle researchers were trying to solve. I mean, if you're out looking for food, you don't want to waste time and energy going back to a place you already cleaned out. So how does the slime mold manage to avoid that simple mistake? So in 2012, a team led by Chris Reed came up with this really elegant experiment. They had 2 setups. In the first one, a slime mold had to find its way around an obstacle on a clean surface to get to some food. Simple enough. But in the second one, they coated the entire dish with that slime stuff before they even put the mold in. The idea was brilliant. If the trail is basically a been there, done that sign, then putting those signs everywhere should completely confuse it. And the results? Whoa. It was staggering. The slime molds on the pre-coated dish took 10 times longer to find the food. It really was like trying to navigate a city where someone had highlighted every single road on the map. And this just proves it so perfectly. The slime mold isn't storing the map in its head because, it doesn't have one. It's literally leaving the map on the ground behind it. That trail of goo is basically an external hard drive for its memory. And this is where it gets really mind-bending. Because this isn't just a weird biological factoid. It plugs right into a much bigger, more profound idea about what a mind even is. It's a concept called the Hypothesis of Extended Cognition. And the core idea is that thinking doesn't just happen between your ears. It's a process that can actually loop out and use tools and structures in the world around you. Your mind can literally extend beyond your body. The philosophers who developed this idea, Andy Clark and David Chalmers, put it perfectly. And our little slime mold? It's the perfect, if maybe the gooeyest, example of this in action. We do this all the time. When you store a phone number in your contacts, you're not keeping it in your brain, are you? You're offloading that memory to an external device. Your phone, in that moment, becomes a part of your memory system. Well, for the slime mold, that slimy trail is its smartphone. But the story gets even stranger. What if I told you that a memory could be gained without the organism ever actually having the experience? Right. We've seen memory existing outside the body, but can it be transferable? Can you just pass a memory from one individual to another? Almost like sending a file. Okay, this next experiment is just wild. Researchers took one slime mold and trained it to get over its fear of something it hates, like salt, in order to get to food. Then they took a totally naive slime mold that had never seen salt and was still scared of it. And then they let the 2 blobs physically merge together for a little while and then pulled them apart. And the result? The once naive cell suddenly behaved just like the trained one. It just went right over the salt like it was no big deal. A memory that learned tolerance for salt was physically transferred from one to the other. The recipient now behaves as if it learned that lesson, even though it never had the original experience. This totally challenges our idea that memories have to be earned the hard way.
So, what can this humble, gooey blob really teach us about something as complex and human as memory? Well, the lessons are surprisingly profound.
Okay, let's break down the big takeaways. First, memory can live outside the body. Second, that memory is only really made when it gets used. That slime trail is just goo until another slime mold comes along and reads it. Third, you can actually have a memory for something you never learned yourself. And finally, all of this really makes you wonder if memory is exclusively a job for neurons and brains after all. And before we just dismiss this as some weird quirk of a simple organism, think about it. We do this all the time. When you use a map, or follow a recipe, or assemble that piece of furniture using the instruction manual, you are literally guiding your behavior with the externalized memory and experience of another person. You're downloading their learning. Which brings us to our final, provocative thought. The slime mold blurs the line between itself and its environment to think and to remember. We do the exact same thing with our tools, our phones, our books, the internet. So the question isn't just where the slime mold's mind ends, it's where does yours?